Welcome to the Smart Influencer Podcast. I'm Christina,
And I'm Corinne.
and together we help digital entrepreneurs streamline their businesses, maximize revenue, and finally feel in control of their time.
Every week, we share tried and true strategies, proven systems, and expert interviews to help you grow your influence and income without the burnout. So, if you're ready to get smarter about how you run your business, you're in the right place.
So before we dive in today, if you love what you hear, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you find today's conversation helpful, share it with a friend who could use it too.
So, today it's me and Christina chatting with each other, and we are going to be talking about one of our favorite topics, tripwires. And specifically, we're going to be talking about tripwire mistakes that you're making, likely that we know because we made them, that are costing you sales. And we want you to make more money. So we're going to talk about those so you can stop doing them and make more money.
Yes, learn from our mistakes.
Exactly.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So I think one of the top mistakes I've seen, and this is a lesson I learned the hard way, is choosing the wrong product.
Oh, yeah.
And this is something I say all the time, right? We have to remove ourselves from the equation and make sure that we are choosing a product that our audience actually wants.
Mm-hmm. And we see this again and again, like in our group coaching program. Like this is one of the things a lot of people want to launch products, particularly right now when
Hmm.
we're looking for ways to diversify our revenue streams. And people that never thought they'd be doing digital products, like this is on their radar. And it's a mental shift. Like it's a whole
Hmm.
different mental shift. And you've got to switch out of if you've been in blog post creation mode, right? Like creating content that way where they're consuming it for free and they're searching for it in a different way is very different than the product that they might want.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. And so many times we think because we've been creating so much content and engaging with our audience back and forth, we think we know what they want. But do we really? Do we have anything to back that up? And instead of just anecdotal,
right,
data, we want the hardcore facts. You need to ask them outright, very blatantly.
right,
What do you want? What do you struggle with?
right.
What problems are you having? How can I help you solve them?
And you really want to be, yeah, you really want to get clear on that. Like, what is the pain point?
Hmm.
Like Matt Mullen talks about this a lot because I know he works with a lot of food bloggers. So when he's talking about like creating opt-ins, right? Like to get the right opt-in, he says, when someone comes to your site for a recipe, it's because typically they're getting ready to cook, right? Like that's what they're in the midst of. So like the thing that you offer them has to address the pain point that they had in that moment, right?
Right.
So this is why Save the Recipe works very well. This is why gated print is working really well for
Mhm.
people because they want to be able to print it and they have to enter their email address to see it. So like that's obvious. But then you've got to think a little beyond that. Like what are you going to put in front of their face that's going to actually stop them from what they came to do, which was to make dinner?
Right.
Like take whatever you're offering them. And then the tripwire is just an extension of that. So the harder part is actually getting the right opt-in, I feel like,
Yes.
to figure out the pain point. But once you've got that, the tripwire step should be easy.
Right. And I think the other side of that, what I see is you not having your opt-in having a strong connection to your tripwire. Like it's got to be a natural connection. Like what they're signing up for, you want to give them the next step. And like we were saying, it should be the hell yes offer.
Right.
Like I can't say no to this. I said yes to the freebie. We got them saying yes once. Let's keep that yes going.
Right. Right. So, and I think we can probably both give examples here, like where where we've made this mistake
Yeah.
before and like where it's working really well. So, like I had for a long time, like my cheat sheet. So for air fryer and Instant Pot, those converted very, very well. And then, so my first Tripwire products were like a collection of those recipes because you like, particularly for a kitchen appliance like that where it's very specific, right? As opposed to like very general recipes that you just need your stovetop or whatever. So
Right.
like those converted well. So they wanted more recipes that they could use with that appliance. So
Right.
that like those did very well. Um, But like some other things, like when you come to make like a dinner recipe, my dinner, and we used it for a while for what's for dinner. The dinner ideas guide did very well. But when I try to send that to just a collection of dinner recipes, that didn't do well. Like their problem was, I don't want to think about this. Like they wanted a meal plan, right? Like a
Mhm.
meal plan was a more logical next step. And I sell more now that I figured that out. But when I was trying to send them to a cookbook because that's what worked for my cheat sheets, it did not work here because that wasn't the problem they were having. It
Right.
wasn't that they didn't know how to cook dinner. It wasn't that there was a shortage of ideas of what to make for dinner. It
Right.
was, how do I turn that into a plan so that I never have to struggle with this again?
Yeah. So you have to understand that underlying effort. And it may seem like you think you know,
Right.
but sometimes we just don't know. It's hard getting inside of their heads. And I think that to go about finding that out, you have to come from several different directions, right? We've talked about, asking through emails, but you might only get a subset of answers. Like I know with my email list, the only ones responding to surveys are the empty nesters who are waiting for the mailman to show up
Right.
so that they can go out and quick get their mail out of their mailbox and answer email surveys. I'm not getting the busy moms. When I thought about it, I'm like, I'm not going to answer my own survey. I don't have
Right.
time.
Right.
But if you give me two quick questions on Instagram or Facebook, I'll answer those
Yep.
because I'm in the moment. I can quickly check off an answer. So going about it in multiple ways, I think is a great way to ferret out that information. Now, when it comes to connecting the opt-in to the Tripwire, one area, this is a problem I had with mine a couple of years ago. I have my ultimate Thanksgiving planner, right? It's a big planner with all kinds of everything you would need to pull off Thanksgiving the way I do, where it's stress-free.
Mhm.
And my freebie for that was a collection, like a maybe like three or four Thanksgiving planning cheat sheets. Well, it rarely did not convert. It did
Ah,
not convert well at all because why would I buy something when you just gave it to me for free?
right.
Is that's the mentality. Like I didn't give them everything for free. I just gave them
Right.
like a little bit. But as a user, I'm like, why would I buy the whole thing? I don't even know if this is going to work. So
Right.
it didn't make sense in that moment. So I could either change my tripwire or change my opt-in, which I ultimately ended up changing my opt-in,
Right.
which
Well,
makes
and this wasn't one of the mistakes we were going to talk about, but I think that's a really powerful point that when we're talking about the wrong product, sometimes the product is right and it was the opt-in that was
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. So it's understanding, I think, and that's why I brought it up, is
Yeah,
that connection between the two. And it's a
right,
two-way street, I think. It's not just going one way. So it's almost like you have to get into people's minds and try to figure out what that itch is that you can scratch.
right. Now, I want to pause here because, and we've talked about this with tripwires before, but I think it's super important is because I know a lot of people stop at the product creation. Like we see this all the time too, right? Like in the group, like people are just like, this is this big monumental task. And it does not have to be. Like the understanding the pain points so you can get the messaging right is super important and to make sure you put together the right collection of things. But honestly, I think most of my first 100 products were things that were already created. I
Yeah.
just packaged them.
Yep. Yeah,
They were
you don't have
blog
to
posts.
start from scratch.
Yeah, like they were blog posts that I just put in book and then people will say, "Well, why would someone pay for something that they can get for free?" It's not free. Right? Like so if all the recipes are on your site, so you don't have to come up with new recipes. All the recipes are on your site. It is not free if someone has to take their time and
Yeah.
navigate to every single recipe on your site. Time is worth something.
Yeah.
So they will pay for that. So like if that's your like let's like mindset stuff, like get over that barrier. So when we're saying pick the right product, it doesn't mean put a lot of time building a great product.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that. You just really have to understand the psychology of who's coming
hmm
and what they like what it is they need in that moment.
Because think about it, our currency here is not just monetary, it's time. Time is also a currency. And what's interesting is money you can make more of, time you can't.
Right.
So sometimes people value their time more than the dollar bill. So you have to understand that and what's valuable to your readers. Now, the empty nester who's waiting for the mailman is probably on a fixed income. So is that your target audience? You have to balance, I think, those things, which is why I said when you're going to do some research about your Tripwire and or your opt-in offer, go in multiple places where you're getting multiple demographics.
So, on the topic of money, let us talk about the biggest mistake number two. And
Yeah.
I know we've both made it,
Mm.
and it is bad pricing.
This is something I'm always playing with too.
Always playing with. So that is the thing. So again, when we were saying like maybe like the product didn't sell, it's not always the product. It could be pricing.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there is no magic formula that we can get. There just isn't. Everybody's audience is different. Like your brand has a different message that it's presenting to people.
Yep.
So like there will be different thresholds of what people will pay for things. Like again, we saw it in the mastermind, someone that charged a lot for her cookbook and got it because that's the audience she had curated and they really specifically wanted her recipes. They basically forced her to create a cookbook because they were
Right.
clamoring for it.
Yep.
And she charged way more than you or I have ever charged for
Hmm.
a cookbook, and she got it, and she made a lot
Hmm.
of sales from it. So, like, we can't tell you the right price, but if it's not selling, and that's an easy thing. Before going back to the drawing board and creating a new opt-in or creating a brand new product, it might just be the price is wrong.
Yeah. And when you're adjusting your price, don't just think you have to go down in price. Like, oh, I priced it too high and I went down. This actually happened to me when I released my Moonshine ebook. I do some work with the local TV station. I was able, thankfully, they let me promote it on there.
Mhm.
And within those first couple weeks, I sold a ton of them, a ton of these ebooks. And one thing I was realizing is the sale was too easy. It was too simple. So I bumped the price up. And you know what? My number stayed the same. I was able to still make as many sales as I did before, but now I was getting $2 more per product than I was before. So it's one of those things where I'm watching the price going, is it too low? Is it too high? How can I adjust? Now, if the $2 had caused the sales to go down, I might have dropped it back down again,
Right.
you know? So it goes both ways there too. I wish it
That
wasn't
was my
easy.
vault at $9. And I do so much on price, like pricing psychology. Like $9 is going to be the perfect price for this. And it wasn't selling. I bumped it to, and it defies all pricing psychology post I've ever read. But I priced it at 10.99. I played with this price for like 2 months to land on it. 10.99 is my sweet spot. I don't
Mm,
know why. I don't know why. $11? Nay. Like
yeah.
$10? No. 9.99, like no other variation sold as well as 10.99, and I still sell those every single day. But it's
But yeah, it
just
does. It goes against everything because
it
it's
goes
always
against
like nine or
everything.
seven, 9 or 7.
Right. So like don't be tied to like test those things because people a lot smarter than me have studied like sales psychology. So like
Mhm.
that's why I looked at that for pricing guidance, but just kept toggling that number till I found it. And James Wedmore, this
Yeah.
was like I really like this philosophy. I haven't got there yet. As people know, if you follow me, I have a lot of low price products. But it is true. James Wedmore, Business by Design, always says that it is the low budget consumer that is going to give you the most customer service problems. And
Oh, absolutely.
so true. It is so true. The people that give you the least money expect the highest level
Yeah.
of customer care. The people that are willing to spend more don't have time to bother you.
Think about the people that stand in Kohl's and argue over their $5 in Kohl's cash.
Exactly. Exactly. So like if you don't want to deal with customer service headaches, maybe do price it a little bit higher. Plus you'll have to sell fewer, right?
Yep.
But you've got to find the price where you can get the sales and get the
Yeah.
conversions. And finding that sweet spot you just have to do with experimentation.
Quality over quantity any day.
Yeah.
Any day. But this, I think, is a great time. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, since you brought up Kohl's, I will say, especially for tripwires, that Kohl's mentality, like I do implement, like that is something
Yeah.
I implement a lot. Like people, rather than just giving them a good price, they want to get a great deal.
Hmm.
So and you and I used to argue about this early on with our tripwires for our partnership because for whatever reason, when I started doing tripwires, I did 40% off. Like that to me was a very steep discount. I did 40% off. That was just my rule for any time I set up a tripwire page. And yours was 50. I'm like, we can't do 50% off. We're just giving it away.
That 10%.
10%. But people like a good 50%. They
Yeah.
like a good 75%. And it depends on where you're selling the product too. If you're only selling it on Tripwire, you might as well make it 90% off. Like because no one's paying that. And I did again, actually my Printables Club membership, I did that. Or the Vault. The Vault's
Yeah.
valued at $99. So I gave
Yeah.
it to them for almost 90% off.
So a lot of times too, you have to back into the math,
Yeah.
right? Instead of going forward math, you're going to do backward math. You're going to start with the price, like you're going to start with your tripwire price and start building from there, right? What you think you can sell it at, like your lowest price that you want to go, and then start building up from
Yeah.
there instead of the other way and saying, okay, I've got to get 9.99 or 15.99 for this. Let me cut it by 40%.
Right.
I think you should start the other way and
Yeah.
figure out how low am I willing to go for the tripwire and then building it from that. And your regular price is probably the price you are never going to offer it at anyway.
Right.
There's always going to be some sort of deal with whatever offer they get. So there's a whole lot of psychology in there.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of things, but there's also a lot of A/B testing that you have to do.
Yeah.
And I will caution you, please don't be a sheep and just follow somebody else's formula because it may not work with your audience. You really have to do the work. And I think Tammy talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
Tammy Overhoff, she did a three-part series with us a few months ago. We'll link to it in the show notes. Make sure you listen to that because she talks a lot about that, about finding your sweet spot
Yeah.
for your products. And that's a very important part of this whole thing.
And I do want to say, because I like things to sound easy. I know what we're saying sounds like a lot of work. Like by all means, and again, I guess I am just a big Matt Mullen fan because I quote him a lot. I feel like he always says, "Go fast, break things," right? Like
Yes.
I love that philosophy. So like, get it out there, push it out, make all the mistakes, right? Like. So, and then use this podcast episode more as a guidepost of, okay,
Mhm.
it didn't sell what I thought it was. These are the possible things that were wrong and that you
What
can
can I
play
check?
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great time to bring up too. We have a great opt-in that you can sign up for and get it for free. It's our the high converting tripwire checklist. So it's another set of checkpoints that you can go through to make sure that your tripwire is converting well.
Right.
So make sure you head over to the smartinfluencer.com / tripwire checklist and grab that.
Is that tripwire hyphen checklist or is it all one word?
Yes,
Okay.
tripwire hyphen
Okay.
checklist.
All right. So, um, wrong product, wrong pricing. Those are two of the most common mistakes. Um, and then the third one, I gotta
Mhm.
say, is like a bad checkout process,
Oof. Yeah.
right? Like, because people don't want to, like, the more things they have to do, and most of the time they're doing it from their phone.
Yeah.
The more things they've got to do with their fat fingers, the chances are like you're gonna lose the sale somewhere in there. So like having a super clear, streamlined checkout process is probably the next most important thing other than getting the product right.
100%. 100%. There is nothing worse than long pages where you have to scroll to find a button, or there worse, there is no button. They just make you scroll down to the bottom of the page to put
Right,
your
right,
information in.
right. Yeah,
We
if they
all
were ready
know.
to buy after they saw the countdown, let them buy there.
Yeah. So we all know how important the jump buttons are on pages. I mean, I think Casey and all the other SEO gurus have really informed that for us. Put jump buttons on your sales
Yeah,
pages. Jump them right down to that form.
jump right into the
That,
cart.
super easy to go through that and make sure it's not clunky. Have one of your friends test it too, who's not afraid to give you honest feedback. And hopefully you're choosing a friend that likes to buy things online and they're used to that process. But then also give it to somebody who's not used to buying online, like if your mom is like that or whatever, let somebody like that try it too, so you can make sure that you can minimize those friction points.
And on that topic, because most of us are going to be selling digital products, if you're listening to this, I'm going to assume it is. So if you're doing that, make sure it's super clear in multiple places, particularly at checkout, that this is a digital product.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Remember that ebook I told you about where I
Yeah.
sold so many of them? Well, let me tell you the rest of the story. I did my TV segment. It aired. Well, that weekend I also went away on a press trip and I was out in the middle of cow country with very limited Wi-Fi and all the gazillions of people that downloaded this book hit me up with customer service problems because I gave you my address. Where's my book? When is this going to be shipped to me? You didn't ask for my address. How are you going to ship this? I don't understand. How do I get my book? Where's the link? I didn't get the link. My email, it was just every time I came into Wi-Fi service,
Yep.
it was like, oh my God. And I'm like, never again. Never again. I was so frustrated. But what I learned from there was I really, really needed to streamline my checkout process.
Yeah. So if you are not in a state where you have to collect their address, then don't like get that
Yes.
off of the checkout page because we're not mailing that because that causes a lot of confusion. And
Yes.
if you are, anything you can do that lets them know that you're collecting that just for tax purposes, and the least amount of information you need to, and I know with some checkout services you can't control this. Like if you're asking for, it just has to be full address. But if you could get it to where it's just the zip
Yep.
code, for example. So
Hmm.
but yeah, having that verbiage there just so there's no confusion
Yep.
at all.
FYI, if you are in Pennsylvania, you do need to get their address because you need to verify if they are in Pennsylvania or not, because then you don't charge sales tax, you collect it on behalf of the state.
Yeah. Or
Because there's,
if you are doing a lot of sales. So I just got hit on my Shopify store for Georgia because evidently I sold more than 200 items to Georgians.
oh,
So yeah, the state, not the
interesting. Yeah.
country.
Yeah, you have to watch out for that kind of stuff too. One thing I did, so I put the verbiage in the sales page, but then many sales carts will allow you to have a terms and conditions section. So what I did was I made that mandatory and I changed the terms and conditions that says, please be advised, you will not be receiving a hard copy of this product in the mail. This is a digital product. You will not. I said it like I think two or three different ways to accommodate everybody, but you have to go in and open that up and then check the button that you acknowledge that you understand you will not be receiving a product. So every single person has to fill that, like has to check
Right.
that box on my cart anymore. I
Yeah.
learned the hard way.
So yeah, make your checkout super clear. Super
Hmm.
clear, super easy to navigate.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will lose conversions or you'll have customer service issues to deal with.
Right. And just try to avoid any of that like confusing verbiage. So,
Right.
like have somebody read it who can give you that kind of feedback. That's one of the things we go through in our group coaching program is we'll go through everything with a fine tooth comb and make sure, putting on our devil's advocate hats and making sure that all that language is cleaned up and
Right.
there's nothing confusing.
Okay, so this next mistake is the one like I still make it. I still like I
Oh,
have
me
to have
too.
someone help like proofread my sales pages for this. I'm just not comfortable selling. Like, and I've done so much personal work on this for mindset. Like, we've had a couple good people on the podcast to talk about this, like how to like we're providing a resource to them, right? Like a helpful
Yeah.
resource. But I still soft foot on the sales language, and you
Yeah.
cannot give them a weak offer. You
Hmm.
have to present it clear, clear so they know exactly what you're asking them. You have to tell them exactly what they need to do to take the offer. So, like, this is not the soft sell space. Like, if you're doing a trip, like, again, we're talking specifically about tripwires here. They were in a hurry, they signed up for your freebie, they're going to be trying to get to their email as soon as possible. You need to hit them hard with that messaging.
Right out of the gate.
Right out.
There's no being soft about it. You've got to like on a tripwire page, which is different than a traditional sales page,
Yep.
you've got to go in hard that I am trying to sell you something. But wait,
Right.
before you go, don't miss this
Yes.
once in a lifetime offer. You will never see it again.
Yeah, attention grabbing headline is key and the benefits. Because again, hopefully you've done your work right and you know exactly who came there and what they
Mhm.
were looking for. So the benefits to them, like how is this going to make their life better? Hit them hard with that. And then you need to buy this now in order to get
Yep.
to see that change.
Yep.
But this is not the place to like to try to be their friend and like, well,
Oh,
maybe
by
if
the way,
it, yeah, check this out. Like, don't do
yeah,
that.
don't check it out. No,
Yeah,
they need it. They have
yeah,
to have it. Their life will be worse off if they don't have it. You have to go in strong and hard there, I think.
yeah,
And you really have to remember that you're not selling, you're solving a problem.
right,
And that is the one thing I have to tell myself over and over and over again when I'm reading through my sales pages. I'm solving a problem. I'm not selling them something.
right, right.
Yeah.
You're offering them a solution.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. So next up, and this kind of carries on with the whole week sales page and offer, is you need to build in, especially for a tripwire, some sense of urgency or scarcity,
yeah,
right? It's got to be a limited time, some sort of limitation on this offer. It can't be available forever. But I will also say, make sure that what you're saying is true.
yeah,
So if you're saying the only time you're going to see this price is on this page, make sure that 2 weeks later when they come back, it's not the same price.
right. Yeah. Some people do that, right? Like they will like you could come back and see their tripwire again. But for me, like I as a user, I like that breaks my faith. And then
Yeah.
I don't take any of your other offers serious because I'm like, ah, I'll just wait for the next deal.
Now, your offer might not be a discount in price at all. If you don't believe in discounting, you don't
Right.
have to do that. It could be an added bonus that's only available for a limited time. Corinne and I go back and
We
forth
do.
on this all the time. I'm like, I have bought products exclusively for the bonus. I could care less about the main offer. I want something that's in that bonus. So bonuses aren't always throwaways that, are just like, you can have my free Facebook group or you can have this. If the bonus is solid, I will buy a product sometimes just for the bonus.
And I do believe it. I believe it's true, but I have honestly never even read the bonuses on a sales page of
Yeah.
anything I've bought because to me, it's the make-believe stuff they throw in.
So you have the yin and yang approach here.
It
I mean,
is.
in
So
true
yeah, but
Corinne and
it is
Christina form.
there's yeah, again, different audiences too. Like that might be what your audience comes there looking for. They might be Christina's and are looking for that special perk they're going to get here that they're not going to get any other time.
Yeah. So if
So,
you feel adamantly that you can't discount your product, consider a bonus as
yeah.
your sense of urgency or scarcity. Like this bonus is only available for the next 24 hours
Right.
and take it down after that.
Yep. One of the other things I do, this is a little off topic, but in terms of like reinforcing that bargain, like that this is a bargain price, is a lot of times I will embed the full price product in the blog post where they saw the original opt-in. So
Mm,
they just saw, right? Like you just saw my air fryer cookbook for, $4.99, and on Tripwire you're seeing I'm giving it to you for 50% off. Like in your head, like I'm hoping you've got that connection like, wait, I thought this was 4.99. Oh, this is a deal. So,
yeah.
like you and then that also gives people that don't want to give you their email address still an opportunity to see
Yeah.
that product.
Yeah. And like there's a lot of ways you can do this, but the biggest one is countdown timers. So if your cart has a countdown timer, use it. And then make sure you have some sort of redirect in place that when that timer is up, it goes to a higher priced product or one without the bonus that you were promising and that you have that set up properly.
Right.
If you don't have a timer in your cart, whatever cart system you're using, I know some of the other some do not have that feature. You could always create a page on your WordPress site and get a free countdown timer plugin and embed it there.
Yeah.
That's a great option.
Yeah, hurry timer I like for that.
Yeah.
They've got a free option, especially if like this is your first tripwire and you want to test to see whether like you're going to make sales. I'm a big fan of that. And then you can just do a PayPal button for the checkout.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's recap. We have wrong product, bad pricing, clunky checkout, weak presentation, and no urgency.
Right.
Those are the 5 mistakes you could be making. So if your Tripwire page is not converting, go back and look at those 5 things and see if you're making any errors there or if there's anything you can tighten up so that you can increase your Tripwire sales.
And don't forget to grab our opt-in, the high converting tripwire checklist, so
Hmm.
that you can check all the other things that we recommend that you do so that you can increase the odds that you're going to make those conversions, make lots of sales, make lots of money.
And you can grab it at thesmartinfluencer.com/tripwire hyphen checklist. So don't set up another Tripwire without it. Make sure you grab it.
Thank you for joining us today. If you want to take action, grab the opt-in. It'll be in the show notes. It's going to be packed with information to help you create high converting tripwires.
And we'd love to hear from you. So tag us on Instagram at The Smart Influencer with your biggest takeaway, or just drop us a DM and let us know how you're applying what you learned today.
Thank you for spending time with us today. We'll be back next week with another episode to help you grow smarter, work less, and earn more. See you then.
Bye.